Hi everybody. I am a little bit frustrated right now. I just did about 27 minutes of episode 9 and lost it all. So I'm having to start over again. Today is September the 26th. It's Thursday. Breathe. So we're taking up where we left off with episode 9 at the end of July 2012. I had taken a supervisor's position at a local county agency, and I'm sort of glad that I lost some of that tape because I need to zone in on some of the paranormal stuff. After I read all this and went through that dry run for 27 minutes, I realized that I had focused a little bit too much on career as opposed to paranormal. But I do want to summarize something very fast. When I started my new job at this new agency, there was a very negative, abiding, I don't want to say presence, it was more of a cloud. Beaten down, no hope, not sure where things, well, that whole kind of, we're all right. They are a great group of people, very hardworking and very dedicated, which is required in the field of child welfare because you're holding lives in your hands. The decisions that you make directly impact families. So these people were hardworking, they were determined, they were good people. I was very proud to be a part of their group. I could not have been more proud. So, long story short, I walked in with a philosophy called the Hope Tree philosophy. And this was actually born during a lunch between the coworkers and me. And I did a training on it. And in fact, one of the lead workers said, wouldn't a weeping willow tree be an awesome symbol? Yeah, it would, because it can sway, but it usually doesn't break. So we made that our icon, and it's still actually colored in marker on my whiteboard in my office with the same philosophy written beside it. And basically it just says that one tree branch is teamwork, another branch is case conferencing, another branch is training, another branch is trying to think, just all positive things. And if you cut down each branch, then you're basically left with a pile of sticks and a stump, and you can't get anything from that. But if you leave the tree the way it is, and you feed it and you nurture it, even if it is harmed, it will heal. And this group needed healing. So we started working on positives, trying to turn the negative attitudes around. And let me tell you, that wasn't easy, and it's not easy in the job that we do. But I can tell you that I'm very proud of these people. They may not feel the same about me, but I think that they are the best group of people that I could have ever asked to be teamed up with. Their dedication, their hard work, their cooperation, there's just not enough positive things that I can even say about them. But in being introduced to these people, I learned that there was a paranormal investigator in the unit, and that she was an ordained minister, but she was not a fundamentalist. She was more light believing. She had shared with me some of the evidence that she had and talked to me about some situations she'd found herself in, and I had talked to her about the different things that I had gone through. And she came to me and said, do you want to do a paranormal investigation? A friend of ours is experiencing some situations in their house. There's some physical attacks that are happening, and they want us to come in and do an investigation. And she knew that I could communicate with people that had passed on, so she immediately sought me out to see if I was interested. And as reluctant as I was, I knew it was the right thing to do, because I knew that I would be helping somebody. And that was my biggest thing. I wanted to help someone. So we get to the house. I'm still very apprehensive and very anxious. And so I go into the bathroom to kind of be alone and get grounded. And I get this distinct, you have to do this because you are going to help and you need to not be afraid. We did an initial walkthrough of the entire house, and when I was in the basement, I was not welcome in one room, and I would not go in. And I came back upstairs and told them there was one room that I felt very uneasy in and that I was not permitted to go in. And they proceeded to tell me the way the house is, that room, we'll say it sits here, here's the bedroom. This is the room I did not want to go in. This is the bedroom. They explained to me that they had been jerked off the bed. Here's their bedroom. In their room, there had been attacks in their room. So it seemed to me that this entity was concentrated to this room, the bedroom, and this room underneath here, which was kind of like a supply room. However, there were other times when I felt this entity in the ductwork in the house. A very raging spirit, not a pleasant one at all, which we'll get to that. So we all come back upstairs and we meet in the kitchen, and my coworker prays the prayer of protection, and we split up, took our cameras and everything, and we go downstairs. And before we go downstairs, the husband tells us that the dog, who's very well behaved and sweet, has started having accidents on the floor and is portraying predatory behavior, as in not that the dog is a predator, but the dog is being preyed upon. So whatever was in the house was powerful enough to scare the dog. So we go into the weight room, and I distinctly feel the presence of tribal people, Native Americans, not in the house, but standing outside on the property. And I told them, I don't want you to tell me anything. I told the husband and the wife, don't tell me nothing. Tell me nothing. Let me go in cold. I don't want to know anything. So I go down there, and I feel the distinct presence of these tribal people, very proud, not in a bad way, but very proud, very dignified, male Native American men. Presence, men, male, whatever. They were very peaceful, protective. They wondered what we were doing there. But they were not aggressive at all. So I ruled them out as attacking this poor man and his wife. There were baby monitors that we put in the downstairs and in the upstairs, and when we reviewed the tapes, there was screeching on the baby monitors coming from the downstairs. Now, we did not hear anything when we were down there, but the other group members did. We have EVPs, we have cameras, and when we went downstairs, the uneasiness that I had felt initially was gone. So I knew that the entity was upstairs in the bedroom, which I was right. Because the two others that were in the bedroom with the husband were catching evidence of this entity. As we're standing down in the basement, I keep hearing, need help, need help. And as you are supposed to do with the paranormal investigation, I spoke aloud and asked, what do you need help with? And I got the distinct impression that it was a child, a boy about 7 or 8 years old, and that he had fallen out of the tree on the property. I also knew that that tree fell into the house, and then the spiritual stuff started heightening. I did know that. And this little boy died so fast that he didn't know he was dead. And I ended up trying to tell him to leave and go be with his family. And when we would talk to this little boy, the EVP meter would light up. I think there was one time where my coworker she said, if you're here with us, please make this light up. And she would show the little boy how to make it light up, and he did it. We used flashlights to help communicate also, and he used those a few times. I took pictures. We all took pictures. But I'm very finicky about orbs because I know that they're dust and moisture particles. And I remember snapping sequential pictures on purpose because I did not want to be debunked. I did not want the findings debunked. If they were real, fine. But if they were unreal, fine. But if they were real, then it was evidence to me that we were not there by ourselves. And I remember having before and after pictures and these giant orbs in the weight room. And the little boy even said to us, you're not by yourself. He could see other people with us. He described my grandmother, who I have never met, my dad's mom. He described a little boy that is my husband's grandmother's brother who died when he was a child. He was able to describe various things that he was able to see that basically confirmed to us that he was a human entity and he was trapped. My husband, who is the skeptic, is the one who, when I said, this is a child, my husband confirmed it immediately and said that the child was born in colonial times and lived in colonial times. We also got the distinct impression that his family and these Native Americans that lived on the land were friends. Now, I later find out that this land is Indian burial ground because the man that owns the home found a mound, but he has not touched it. So he confirmed to me that the presence of the Native Americans that I felt there, that was valid. He validated that. And I kept getting Virginia. I don't know if that's the family name or if that's where the family came from. And then my husband confirmed these people are from Virginia. And I never even spoke that. So we were very much on the same wavelength, all of us down in that basement. There was one point where the little boy became so frustrated because we kept trying to cross him over that he kept crying, I want my mom. And that was very hard as a parent to hear. From what I understand, and I'm going to let you in on a little secret, I do not see ghosts per se. I cannot, like I'm seeing the wall and the pictures. That's not how I see ghosts or entities or spiritual things. I see them in my mind's eye. And I saw a little boy with blonde hair and a bowl cut and a colonial outfit. And he knew these tribal people. But he kept saying that they could not keep him safe anymore, that there was something else in the house that was unsafe and that would not let him leave. So before he crossed over, he mentioned the tribal people that were standing outside the window, because they were there the whole time watching all of this. And they were the ones that found him when he died. And they were the ones who took him to his parents. And his sister felt responsible because she was supposed to be watching him when he fell out of the tree. And I'm going to read this from my blog, and then we'll get on with the story. The way I see it, we all make the journey to the other side. Sometimes we need help doing this. Sometimes it happens right after the moment of death, and other times, especially in cases when life is taken quickly, it takes more help, sometimes from someone else. So we eventually get this boy to cross over, and I hear another voice, and it's the voice of a female. And I knew it was his mother. And she said, "Thank you." So we go back upstairs to join the other team members. And we're sitting there at the table, and we're talking to the husband and the wife. And the two other team members go downstairs while we're doing some research. And I felt the presence of an older woman, an elderly woman. Not really elderly, but she was older. And I explained to the husband, I said, "She's attached to you. I don't know who she is, but she's attached to you, and she's very protective of you." And he explained to me that his grandmother raised him and died in that home, in that very kitchen, suddenly. And that it was very fast. She had a very fiery attitude. She was very delightful, but she was fiery. And I explained her personality to him, and he confirmed that it was his grandmother. And she was very protective of him. And then I hear, "That old woman means nothing to me." And I knew who was speaking to me. And I knew that what was talking to me was not a human entity. It didn't feel the same. The tone was different. And the impression I got was steal, take, and destroy. And I knew that this demon's mission was to steal the man's marriage and maybe even his life. He confirmed to me that he had contemplated suicide. He confirmed to me that he and his wife were arguing a lot and having a lot of problems, and that he was of the Catholic faith and that it confused him. And I do not make a habit of downing religion, because I believe everybody has the right to believe the way they believe. But I could tell he needed more than what the Catholic Church had given him and what organized religion was giving him. And I told him, I said, it's okay to believe in God and to worship God, but sometimes you just need a little bit more. And I explained to him the difference between organized religion and spiritualism, and that this entity was probably feeding off his doubt, his anger, his grief, everything. And to make a long story as short as possible, we went into the bedroom to do our final investigation. My coworker, the husband, and me. My husband and the two other team members and the wife stayed out in the other room. And I had my hair pulled. That room was the coldest room in the house. I remember my coworker having to constantly pray protection over us because we felt like we were under attack. The man in the house, he was getting very angry. And sometimes that kind of anger, it's going to take more than than an investigation to clean a house. And there was some peace that night, and I think the activity died down a little bit, but really the burden was put on him because it was his attitude that needed to change to drain the power from this negative entity. And as we ended, we were standing in our circle prayer and we heard noises out in the hallway. There was something standing over in the corner and everybody felt it. We prayed our hearts out that night, as well as a detaching prayer. And I am thankful to say that nothing went home with me. I have not heard of any more situations in the house. I did have contact one more time with the little boy. He came through the day after the investigation. I was actually walking through my hallway and I felt him hug my leg and thank me again. And in my mind, I communicated with him. You do not have to communicate out loud with these entities. That is what is so great, that we are these energetic souls, as we can communicate through thought. We're limited by the flesh because we're much more powerful when we're in the spirit. And that goes for everybody, whether we're good or whether we're not. And I remember feeling the presence of his mom there. And she made sure that I knew that they were not staying, but she felt it was only right for him to come back and thank me himself. And that really touched my heart. To know that that type of humanity, that we take that with us, even when we cross over, that we take those ingrained manners with us from one crossing to the other. So that is the story of my paranormal investigative experience gone right. So I'm going to conclude this evening's 9th episode of Bumps in the Night, and we will take up with episode 10, and that is where we will wrap up. But it's not over. There's more series episodes to come. Thank you so much for tuning in. Love and light to you. Have a great day.